thing we're going to look at using is the color wheel, and we're going to look at doing that in such a way that we can desaturate everything except one single color. So I'm looking at this particular video here where we've got this person with a red hat on, camera pans around, they're taking a picture. Okay, we're going to just drag this onto the timeline, and I'm very much doing this as a live edit. I promise you I've not experimented with this until this point, which may have been naive. Let's see how we get on. I'm going to open up the colour palette, the colour workspace. Sorry, it's not a palette, it's a colour workspace. If you can't see these across the top of your screen because you're using a different version of Premiere, just go into your window menu and choose workspace and then head over for colour. And in particular, within Lumetri Colour, there's a number of different areas. You might have basic correction open, so it might not look the way that mine does right now. But the thing that we're looking for is the curves. And I'm going to show you guys just a little bit of colour stylization to do with this colour wheel. Now, you've just been playing with Colour Balance HLS, and this colour wheel does a kind of similar thing in that it affects the colour saturation. So if I increase where the position of the white circle within the wheel is, you can see that I'm ramping the saturation of every colour, and if I take it all the way down, I am desaturating every colour. What's really nice with this colour wheel though is we can select colours. Well, that's not true. We can select colour ranges. So I'm just going to undo all that and I'm going to do it again so that you can see it. Now I'm looking at the colour of this hat here, which is predominantly red. I could look at her jeans, which are blue, or I could look at the walls that are green, and that's pretty much all the colours I've got to work with. But I think the red's quite prominent to start with, so I'm going to start with that. So I'm looking at the colour wheel, and you can't see me, but at this point I'm leaning quite close to my laptop so I can really see what's going on. And I'm just going to click 4 points. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this red up, and I'm going to bring that down, and I'm going to bring that down. Oh, that's kind of magical. It's so nice when it works. Now, I'm not overly happy because I've got that little bit of red under her arm, and that's totally not my fault. And if I bring that in, then it loses the hat. So I want to make sure that the hat's exposed, and try bringing that in. It's kind of got it actually. Maybe it's more of the orange that's under her arm and less of the red. So what we'll do there is we'll bring that slider over there. It's kind of cool. Now the trick is, does it work within video or does the colour of the hat change? It's not bad. I'm pretty pleased with that actually. And it's got a red lips as well. That's quite nice. And there's that red sign there. We can't really do much about that, and the red in the background. Well, I say we can't do much about that. We totally can. We can use masking, and I'll show you how we go about doing that momentarily. But that's kind of nice, actually. That works really nicely. So how would we use masking so that we lose that red in the background? Well, let me show you. I'm going to go into opacity. And for the sake of it, I think we can probably use a circle. And I'm going to put it round the hat. And I'm just going to use, is it that one? Just to contract the mask. There. And I'm going to hit play. And I'm hoping it's going to track the movement, even though the camera moves, and this is probably going to fail miserably because I'm screen recording. So on those grounds, I will time lapse this bit if it works. I mean, I can at least explain what's going on at this point in time. So what we're doing here is we're telling the computer to look in particular at that mask. It knows that there's an object in that mask that's a different colour, and we've hit the play button, and what it's trying to do then is it's trying to motion track it. So it's looking at the image and it's looking at the fact that that particular area is a different colour to the rest of the image, and then as the camera moves and as the subject moves, it's going to follow it and it's going to keep up with that action. So it's essentially motion tracking, but it's motion tracking with a mask. And then what we're going to do once it's finished motion tracking that mask is we're going to duplicate the layer, and then the layer that's underneath we're going to completely desaturate. By doing that, everything that's on the base layer will be desaturated, so it'll be black and white, yet everything that's in the circle that that it's currently motion tracking will have that red channel as vibrant as it is currently. So then even when she's stood with the red bits in the background, it's still going to leave those areas grayscale. It might be in those parts that we have to go back into the shot, and we may have to go back in and tweak the position of the mask kind of around the rectangular cabinet or around the pipe, and we might need to bring some of the handles of the mask in. But what you can see within the effect controls area is it's plotting a new diamond on every single frame. So it's giving us a new keyframe on every frame of video. So if there's a section where it doesn't quite fit, then we're going to have to go in and select a whole chunk of those, hit delete, and then go and manually configure the mask. But at the moment, so far so good. Let's have a look where it ends. Oh, and there we have it. Look, it's just lost. It's just lost the positioning. But until that point, we can see that the mask did a pretty good job of keeping up with our person. Apart from the fact that we started it a little bit late. So what the idea of that would be is that we would then duplicate the layer like so, and then on the bottom layer we would delete the mask. And on the bottom layer we would desaturate all colours, and then there's no red in the background when she's wandering around. I mean, you can see there where the red's disappeared, but that's purely because of the position of the mask quite early on. That's not bad actually. And again, you're going to spend longer on this, so I expect you to spend a bit more time going and tidying it up. That's the point that the mask gets lost, because the head tips so far back that it loses it. At which point, what I could very easily do is I could go to the point it gets lost. So let's go over to where our cursor is. Which is about there, and I could split the clip. So just cut it with C to select the cut tool, and then I could start my next mask here. I could maybe position it a little bit better to start with, and then I could run that process through and do it again. And it might be like quite often with masking things like this, you're going to have to do it bit by bit by bit, but after a little while it'll really work itself out. Okay, so that's what I'd like you guys to play with today. Is playing with a single leave colour. You can see there, like if I just put that mask back on while I'm trying to talk at the same time as doing this, if I make the mask a lot smaller, closer to her head, let's try moving the mask, there we go. If I just turn that mask on and off, you can see with it off, you can see how much red there is in the background. With it on, you can see that it's just the hat. So let's just do that again. Off, you can see the red of the pipe, the red boxes over here in the background, yet with it on, with the mask on, that mask just around the top of the head, you can see that nothing else is red. It's a process that's essentially called colour popping, and as you can see we've accentuated the red, we've boosted the saturation of it using the HLS wheel there, so we have popped the red. And like I said, we could have done that with the blue of the jeans, that is the other option, and we still could. Like, there's nothing to stop us going down here and just plotting 4 points there and just boosting the blues out as well. I know that we've got that mask, so let's just delete the mask just for the sake of it. But you can see the blue coming in now. Maybe some green tones within the blue. There we go. I realise at this point that I've made it look a little accidentally smurfish, but you know, that can happen to anybody at the best of times, can't it? But that's how we do it. The reason we plot in 4 points, I should have probably said that, is points 1 and 2 that I first plot, that's the actual colour spectrum. Points 3 and 4, the ones that I plot just next to that, are what's going to hold everything else in place. So then when I tuck them in, the original points that I've placed, they're still able to hold there. If I just put 2 points there, you're going to see what happens as I drag the blue out, it kind of balloons everything out. So we'll just put a point next to it and then tuck it back in, just like just like so. Okay, that's colour popping and a little bit of use of the hue saturation colour wheel within Lumetri Colour Studio. I hope you enjoyed that one. Again, head over to pexels.com, grab a clip. You're looking for something that's got a very distinct colour that you can separate from the background. The clip I chose was exactly for that purpose and that purpose only. This might be an interesting clip to get the yellow from. You don't want something that's got too much of the colour, because otherwise it just kind of loses its focus. Like this would be wicked if the green was a different colour, the green that's being poured, because you'd have had all the other colours in the background. But yeah, have a little play, see what you come up with, and again, post the results over for me please into the chat, and we'll see what you've been doing. Thanks very much, I hope you enjoy that one.